There's a 5-minute call for Green Party. Denise Roche.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to take a call on the Christchurch City Council Rates Validation Bill. Just a short call. Mr Speaker, we support this bill and its intention to correct an error. And I'd like to acknowledge the work of Nikki Wagner, as well as the work of the Local Government Environment Select Committee, the Parliamentary Council Office, and of course the Department of Internal Affairs, and all the work they've done in preparing the information around this bill so that we can vote on it tonight. Mr Speaker, one of the values of the Green Party is to support ideas regardless of where they originate, and we do need to ensure that Christchurch has a secure and stable revenue base. And as we heard from my colleague Eugenie Sage, she's already touched on how that revenue base should actually include the revenue from the assets that the council holds, which should not be sold off. But currently, sir, that revenue base is all the more pressing for Christchurch so that Christchurch can recover. However, sir, the introduction of legislation that is retrospective should really be used as a means of last resort. And we feel, sir, that it has been used too often. We've seen it in the last term, quite recently really, in two similar situations for the Kaipara and for the Tasman regions. It's obvious, Mr Speaker, that there needs to be clearer guidance from central government about the responsibilities around rating for local government. I'm pleased to see that according to the Department of Internal Affairs and their report to the Environment and Local Government Select Committee, that the Society of Local Government Managers, SOLGM, have updated its guidance in November 2013. And hopefully those updated guidelines, along with the recent audit work conducted by the Auditor General, hopefully that means that we do not repeat these mistakes in other cities across the nation. Sir, as my colleague Eugenie Sage said in her first reading, and she mentioned it again tonight, she specifically said that the Parliamentary Library research has shown that the average bill considered by Parliament costs us, the taxpayer, around about $1.43 million. And every hour that Parliament sits costs about $20,000. That's $20,000 an hour to hear these bills. And while we can talk about the cost that, in money terms, we should also talk about the opportunity costs there. And that is another area that this bill has taken quite a bit of cost from. Because when we talk about fixing things up from the past through mistakes in the rating system, and we have to introduce the legislation, we are not talking about the other pressing social problems that we have to deal with. And boy, do we have some to deal with. We have things like increasing poverty, 25% of kids living in poverty, median house prices having increased by 60%, and New Zealand's net carbon emissions having risen by 48%. Those are the sort of issues that we could be spending $20,000 an hour debating, sir. And every minute, every hour that we talk about bills like this is some time that we don't spend addressing the critical issues for New Zealand. Mr Speaker, when our grandchildren ask us about our proudest achievements and what they are during our time in Parliament, I doubt very much that this bill, even though it was well-intentioned, I doubt very much that it will feature as top of the list. We can and we must get things right so that we don't waste time passing retrospective legislation, and so that we can spend more time doing the jobs that we were elected to do, addressing the real challenges, sir, that are facing our people in our country. Thank you.
Renu Tirakatne.